And he was like, if you fly to San Diego in 24 hours and you attend my 3-day live AI event and you prove to me that you have the skill set, I'll consider hiring you. And I said, done. So I did my first solo trip ever and like flew to San Diego by myself. And day one, I don't even remember how I did this, but I basically built a clone of him at his event. And I gave it to him at the end of the day and said, like, meet yourself. And then he was like, okay, you're cool.
What's going on, guys? We have a super interesting, very exciting interview that I want to go in and do. There was a few videos ago, a few weeks ago, we dropped this really interesting kind of reaction video to this awesome woman that we saw who went and created literally a construction business, has no idea how to do any of the construction herself. We live in an era where you really don't have to know how to do everything that your business does. And more I'm meeting people at events and different communities where this is true. Watching what Jade has done is so fascinating and amazing. Jade, welcome to the channel. We're so honored to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so first right off, could you tell people what you do? And then I want to dive into it because it's super unique.
Yeah, so in the total overview sense, I run a handyman company that is based in Vancouver, Canada. And like you said, I have no handyman experience, no trades background, no university degrees, nothing. And I definitely have a lot of history in business experience. In an overview, my company basically just does anything from changing a light bulb to mid-size renovations. We kind of cover it all. And my role is to be the business owner and actually operate and run my company while my handyman that I hired full-time go and execute jobs. I make sure they're busy, they execute, basically work as a team.
That's so crazy to hear because I think a lot of people are always stuck in the mentality that you have to know how to do what your business does. And so there's a lot of people who will spend so much time learning a skill set and they don't realize that building the business around that skill set is a completely different skill set. What skills would you say are kind of universal regardless of whatever the company's selling? Because you've obviously nailed that to be able to go grow something that you don't even know how to do yourself, which is amazing.
One of the first things that definitely comes to mind is when you're building anything, the team you're building it with will like trump anything that you're kind of running into. But for myself, it was like, okay, I don't know how to be a handyman. I don't know how to do that. If I have a really good skill set around understanding what types of people we need to put in the positions to actually execute jobs, then we're fine. Then we can run that. And if we know that we can have, for example, like a really good admin person and we know the types of stuff that they need to do and the execution they need to do, we can run that. But I think the biggest part that's like a universal thing that everybody in the company needs to have is hiring fully based on culture, understanding how people work and how they run, and like environment is gonna like beat systems any day. Like I think a company could literally have 0 systems, but if people can navigate together and the culture is there and everyone's collaborative and egoless and open-minded, that will thrive over a company that has systems but has egotistical and closed-minded people. People, culture, every day, and systems can be built around that, but you can't undo bad culture, basically.
I wrote that down. Environment beats systems. And that's something that I think is not the mentality of most business owners. So if it's that crucial, have you had a lot of turnover with your team? I imagine you're very good at the hiring and firing process then to find that person.
It's funny because of my age and the industries that I've worked in before, I've never really had to be in the position of hiring or firing this type of employee or this type of team member. So we started our company 4.5 months ago with 2 full-time handymen on staff. And we actually just had one of them leave our company. When we actually promoted hiring for our company, we never actually said that we were a startup. When he joined us, he felt like he didn't have an entrepreneurial mindset, which is totally fine because it's really normal in the trades industry to be seen as like you are disposable. We can hire you and fire you at the exact same moment. We only need you per project. We only need you for X amount of contract. And he was really locked into that mentality. And I was very like, no, like you're good. Like we got you. But at the end of the day, it was just one of those like actual roles that we were doing and the jobs that we were doing just weren't things that he genuinely enjoyed doing. So he was like, you know what? I think that I would prefer a different type of construction job. And I was like, valid. It just means that we have someone who's absolutely amazing waiting to get hired. We start hiring next week. So the biggest thing about it, for at least for the guys and for the culture, having them understand the vision of what you're building and tying them into it is going to make them see what you're building. Because as like a handyman, for example, usually without being stereotypical, the guys that apply to work with us are between late 30s and mid 50s. And you have a guy who's like 50 years old, he's on the tools, he's out doing jobs every single day. 10 years from now, he's basically supposed to retire. And a lot of guys in trades, when they retire, they don't have any other skill set beyond what they've been doing for like 40 years in trades. When we have our vision of how our company runs, we've said like our goal is to have our guys who are super skilled and super like deep into our company, who have been with us since day one, our cores. We have built you into our plan of being like, we want to give you teams, and you start to turn into like a project manager. You stay in the world that you want to be in, with maybe taking you off the tools a little bit, and maybe more, we have big goals of where this handyman company could go, and tying them into that and letting them understand it is something that a lot of trades companies don't do right now, genuinely, because there isn't actually a handyman company that is genuinely trying to do what we're trying to do, which is basically like the 1-800-GOT-JUNK of handyman companies, basically.
Tell us like the first business attempt.
Starting at probably the ripe age of around 8 years old, my dad was and still is a very successful speaker in Canada for business coaching and consulting, and owned one of the largest coaching and consulting companies in Canada. Instead of going to school, I would go to all of his events, and he had speakers from all around and spoke on so many different stages. So the knowledge from him, and also all of these like insane, crazy names, just speaking on stage and spending time with them and going to dinner with them. The first company I started was cupcakes. Like, I just wanted to sell cupcakes at the back of my dad's events. The hotel was like, sorry, like no outside food. So I ended up going to school that day, absolutely miserable, thinking that I had just failed my entire life. And then everyone at my school got a free cupcake. And then when I was about 17, started a crystal company with my sister, and it was a online e-commerce store. And then I wanted to be a part of it because I wanted to learn the bookkeeping, the websites, the whole back-end logistics. And we ran that together for about 18 months. And then we basically decided that we are not meant to be in business together, just family in business together, sisters in business together. We just definitely weren't the right fit for each other. So she decided to leave the company, and our crystal company did like $70,000 its first year when I was like 17, that's insane. We're 17 and 19, but then we just shut it down because nobody wanted to run it. Instead of going to university, I was going to just shadow my dad as well, because he still was doing coaching and consulting during this time. Went to every single meeting, every single business trip, everything. And I ended up meeting this guy who was just absolutely amazing in AI and software. I basically went up to him, and he didn't know me, and I basically pleaded and was like, you don't understand, like, I will do anything to work with you. Like, I really want to learn software. ChatGPT had like basically just come out, and I was like, I had this self-studying AI a little bit before ChatGPT came out. And then when it came out, I kept studying and self-taught myself how to code and all of these things. He's like, okay, crazy 19-year-old girl, like, you can work for me. The only thing he wanted me to do was to prove myself before he hired me. And he was like, if you fly to San Diego in 24 hours and you attend my 3-day live AI event and you prove to me that you have the skill set, I'll consider hiring you. And I said, done. So I did my first solo trip ever and like flew to San Diego by myself. And day one, before cloning was like a thing, I don't even remember how I did this, but I basically built a clone of him at his event. I recorded him the entire day and then made a clone that you could call and talk to about the event. And I gave it to him at the end of the day and said, like, meet yourself. And then he was like, okay, you're cool. And then I felt honored. The next day, he asked me to go in early to the event, and there was a contract on the table, and he was like, you're hired, let's do this. And I was like, woo, let's go. Like, that's insane. And then the third day of the event, final day, he asked me to come in early again, and he was like, okay, Jade, there's 40 minutes we've blocked out this morning. You're going to go on stage at this event. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he was like, you're going to go on stage because everybody in the audience has the odds they have a child who is your age, who either they're going into the career field, they're going to university, what your perspective is on AI as someone who's a different generation. And then I worked with that company for about a year. Wow. And then we got hired by the handyman company. That's been that ever since.
That's amazing. What an incredible story. I have a lot of respect for the bootstrap mentality. That's how I got to my first 3 events also. I was so poor. Events change lives, you know. Why did you choose a handyman business?
Oh, it's definitely probably one of the most asked questions I get. There are multiple local handyman companies all around North America. I just happen to own basically the whole Vancouver side of that company. Local Handyman Corporate essentially came to me and my 2 business partners to do all of the internal marketing and tech systems because our background is marketing, AI, software, and technology. Local Handyman Corporate hired us to do basically their back-end systems for them. In the midst of us building all of that out for all of their franchisees, we noticed that Vancouver was completely open territory. We decided with this opportunity, we were like, wow, these franchises are doing really well. We totally see the value in everything that they're doing. There is some flexibility with them. So we were like, we definitely could make this like our thing. We just saw such a big opportunity with it that we ended up buying into owning multiple territories with the Local Handyman group. And now, so Local Handyman Vancouver is primarily owned by myself. I run that day to day, every single day. And then my business partners actually run our AI and software company for corporate and our other clients that we have within our software company.
I think it's amazing. We have people pay me to come in and see what's wrong with their marketing and their business and their systems. And I have the hardest time getting people to realize that there's a completely different set of business skills that actually makes the business run. That's amazing because I was just on with my mastermind and they're all 7 and 8 figure earners. And we just went over this principle with them today. And I shared with them that, in terms of business skills, probably the number one skill you can have is the ability to transfer vision into the heads of the people who work there. It usually is hard for people to grasp that because the vision lives in their head and it makes us as entrepreneurs very hard to follow because we live so far in the future. So you said that building vision into those who work for you is one of the most key things. What else have you done, though, to kind of transfer vision into the heads of those people?
One thing that we're in the process of doing is we actually wrote out our vision in like a piece of paper and it was dated 5 years from now. Like it's like we're sitting here 5 years from now, written as if it's a true statement. And our goal is to transfer that to our guys. Our vision for the company and our vision for them in the company is definitely different. It's kind of the feeling of like everybody has their own, but they all tie together. Like if I'm like, hey, I want to own 50 franchises with 40 handyman working for me, whatever the numbers are, that won't resonate with them. But if we tie a vision being like 5 years from now, you are this level in Local Handyman Vancouver and you have a team underneath you, add all the nice elements that create the vision around it, that would hit different for them than me being like, I'd love to have a company that's this big with this much revenue, with this much income, with this much margin, because they're going to be like, okay, I don't care.
And it sounds like it's one-on-one, like a session with them where you kind of figure out what their future is. And then you have your own business future vision as well. What advice would you give to people who are maybe not used to project managing or they are kind of shouldering the entire project on their own? It sounds like you're really good at delegating. So what's your project management style?
I am in the process of getting good at delegating because currently I am the type of owner right now where every day my guys are calling me. I'm the one like coordinating jobs, coordinating schedules, coordinating invoices, estimates, which pulls me away from working on the business because I work in it every single day. I think the biggest thing around it is just having the belief that someone can do it better than you, because it's really easy as an owner to genuinely believe that no one's going to care as much as you, which is so untrue, because you think there is somebody out there who definitely cares more about my admin than I do. Because if you train them right and you bring them into the right culture, and there's probably somebody who will take the admin role within our company and take it 5 levels better than exactly the way I'm doing it. Because if they care, they're going to build things around it and they're going to think about it and they're going to want to like keep improving it and constantly making it better.
You can even mention the tools or whatever it is that you're using. What is it that you're doing in your business with AI that you normally would have to hire someone for?
The couple of the main ways that we actually use AI is, the first one is we have a phone call bot that we've trained on our company. The phones get answered by somebody, but it's only if somebody doesn't answer the phone, because the minute that somebody doesn't answer a phone, especially in our industry, they're instantly going to the next listing on Google and calling the next handyman company. They just want somebody to get in. We now have created a system where our phones are always answered, even if someone's calling me or one of the other phone lines at any time, but it can at least answer some questions and give them pricing and give them at least some understanding of our services. Another way that we just use AI and automate things is when we do estimating and invoicing, we're in the process of training our handyman to even use something like ChatGPT just to make their lives a little bit easier, where we've created a custom GPT that's filled with our company's information, like our pricing, our markups, our hourly rates, our different things like that, so that when my handyman then can be like, even if they want to do voice mode or text it, they can say, I'm in a job, this is the name of the client, this is the job they need done, and then the GPT and them together write up a really good estimate, but it saves the handyman time because the handyman can input like the bullet points of what the job is. Then the AI actually writes up the estimate in like nice, long, full sentences written in a simple format so that anybody can read it and understand, versus getting like a bunch of handyman jargon of like, you need this, 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 this. And then a big one that we have too right now is we put automations around our handyman's calendars so that we can track track when our handymen are on the way to a job. So it texts our client being like, your handyman, his name is James. He is on the way to do your job. Because a big thing in this industry is people thinking that their guy's not going to show up.
That's fascinating. I know you're on track right now and you kind of called your shot, which I have so much respect for as well. I got started like that. You said, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to do 100 grand by the end of the year. How's that going? What's been the highlights? What's been some of the stumbling blocks on the way?
We have definitely had ups and downs about it. I would say that we are very on track. The fact that we are only 4.5 months in, and I will say that we are at least over halfway there. So that's great. Hopefully, because our year would be March. That's when we launched our company. So we have till March to hit that. And we're a bit over halfway. So that's great. At least with this industry, the wins are pretty big. We definitely have like hourly rates and project rates with very good margins that we are able to charge more than like the average guy on Facebook or Craigslist. You're also getting the execution for exactly what you're paying for. Sometimes we pull like a $12,000 week and sometimes we pull like a $2,000, $1,000 week. It just depends how many services to quote ratio you have. So it's a little all over the map, but we're getting there.
Amazing. Jade, thank you so much for your time. This has been amazing. And we have so excited to watch what you're doing next. You're a leg up on so many people who just don't totally understand that it's not about who can build the best product. It's who can build the best business around the product. That's winning. So it's amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Jade.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, Steve.
You too.